So right now, as I speak, the S&P 500 is absolutely smashing it, basically at 6,700 points. Over the past month, it is up by over 4%, and over the past 6 months, up by over 18%. The US markets are doing amazingly right now. So in this video, I'm going to go through my latest stocks and shares ISA, which is with Lightyear this year. So as you can see, this is my Lightyear stocks and shares ISA. My current balance is £22,137. You can see even though the stock market is at all-time highs, there's still a bit of volatility out there. You can see this is the one-day movement, quite a bit of highs and lows. Now this video is quite a big of an update because I've finally decided to just invest for the long term with my Lightyear stocks and shares ISA. In the past, I have been guilty of trying to time the market, and maybe I'll still do that, but definitely not in the Lightyear stocks and shares ISA. This is where I'm going to deposit £20,000 every year and then just put it into long-term investments and then not touch it again, although I might be looking at it quite often because I am a little bit obsessed with numbers. If you would like a free US fractional share worth up to £100 on Lightyear, all you have to do in the settings menu is to go into the promotions tab, and then where it says add promo code, just enter my code JUBAIR and you should receive a free US fractional share worth up to £100 in your general investment account. But remember, with investing, your capital is at risk. The value of your investments can go up and down, and none of this is financial advice. If I go into the 1 month view, you can see there was a period of time where I was just holding cash. It was quite flat here. And then I decided, even though the markets are basically at all-time highs, the second best time to start investing is right now. You know, we don't know what the future holds. The stock market could crash or it could go up another 100%. We really don't know. So what is the point of trying to time the market and staying in cash? So my returns so far since investing, as you can see, most of my deposits were made on the 16th of May. That's when I nearly maxed out my ISA. So I did miss out on some of the best weeks, 2 months of the stock market. So since investing, my return has been a positive 12.37%, which I'm actually really happy about regardless of where the stock market has gone. So if I go down here and go into flexible ISA allowance, you can see that I supposedly have £300 left of my ISA allowance, but this is actually £300 that I put into another ISA, and then I decided to just leave that ISA as it is. My ISA allowance for this tax year is actually maxed out, so £300 in the other ISA and £19,700 here. So since the tax year, I have an unrealized gain of £2,437. Could have been better, but this was my situation, and going forward, I'm going to hold these two stocks that I'm going to show you for the future regardless of where they're going, although I might make one change which I want to discuss with you guys. So as you can see, most of my money is invested. I only have £26.19 in the Lightyear vaults. Do bear in mind that if you are going to be using Lightyear vaults, the cash is going to be put into money market funds, which in themselves are classed as an investment, so your capital could be at risk. So over here are my investments. I just have two. So one is in the Invesco EQQQ Nasdaq 100. You can see that this index has been performing really well. Over the past day alone, up by over 1%. Over the past week, you can see a lot of volatility, but overall up by over 1.3%. Past month's performance, I think, is staggering, up by over 5.9%. So year-to-date performance is up by over 8%. This includes the around 20% quick dip that we did see. So including that, this is amazing. And just to show you, over the past year, it is up by over 22%. Now, since investing, I am up by 1.48%, or a positive gain of £300.48. I currently own 48 shares, as you can see. I currently own 48 shares, and this fund has a total expense ratio of 0.3%. I really like how Lightyear shows you a comparison versus other ETFs. 0.3% isn't the cheapest ETF out there. Lightyear actually gives you a nice visual comparison in ETF fees, which is really good. You can also see things like the dividend rate and the dividend yield, easy to see here. You can also see how this ETF is invested. For example, over 10% in Nvidia, over 7% in Apple. Really tech heavy this ETF is. And so I might be making one change to my portfolio. And as you can see, sector-wise, technology is well over 50% when you include software, semiconductors, and other things like digital hardware. Now, my second investment is in the SPDR MSCI World. Now, this fund over the past year is up by over 16%, which I think is great performance. I only have 11 shares of this, but since investing, I am up by 1.55%, or £5.80 in the green. You can see that this has a much cheaper annual fee, a total expense ratio of of 0.12%. And as you can see, comparatively, it is pretty cheap, especially considering that this is a world fund. Now, if you're wondering what this ETF invests into, I can actually look at it through this menu over here. So yes, it's still quite technology heavy with Nvidia, Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, Apple, Amazon, Broadcom, Tesla being the top 10 companies. However, when you look at regional breakdown, you can see although very US heavy, 72%, you do have weightings towards countries like France, UK, Switzerland, Japan, Canada, Germany, Australia. So there is a good exposure to the world stock market through this fund. And what I may do in the future is to sell out of my Nasdaq 100 shares and just go all in into this ETF here, which I think would be a good decision for me as it has a very low total expense ratio. One thing I do like about Lightyear is that their executions are very quick. Like I've said before, I have tried to time the market before, and it's not something I would ever recommend, but you can see how many times I've bought and sold, and I know this platform makes it very easy to buy and sell at limit orders. For example, if you wanted to do that, you can actually press buy here, and where it says market order, if you press the drop down menu, this is one of the best implementations I've seen. You can actually drag this bar over here, or you can actually type in the exact amount you want to buy or sell with. And I've used this before, but I'm not going to be really buying and selling much anymore on this platform. However, if I did want to sell out of my Nasdaq 100 shares and I wanted to do it at a specific price, maybe when the markets are high, I can easily do a sell limit on that, and I'm actually happy that this is available on this platform. There are other platforms where it takes, days to sell your ETFs, and I'm very happy that if I want to change my allocation to an ETF, I can just sell it out and buy another ETF basically in the same minute or two. So going forward, I want to keep my portfolio as simple as possible. I might sell out one of the ETFs to put it all into the SPDR MSCI World, but I will keep you guys updated. So make sure to check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you in the next video.